Assalamualaikum and good evening. Viewers, today the two political parties, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and Awami Tehreek, kept the federal capital hostage, and both parties spent millions to make their protest demonstration a big success. Imran Khan demanded that action be taken, Article 6 of the Constitution, against all those who stole the public mandate in the May 2013 elections, while Dr. Tahirul Qadri said that I want true democracy in Pakistan and I will fight against any obstacles that come in my way. The country needs to start a fresh Pakistan that was given to us by Qaeda. On the other hand, the battle against hostile media gets into high gear with petition in Supreme Court and the government lawyer Akram Sheikh defending Geo. An arrested FBI, on the other hand, Joel Cox, has been released on a bail as police had been facing severe pressures over the arrest of the U.S. agent, and authorities had ordered the police to take measures for this agent's release. Now, a big question arises here: where was Joel Cox carrying ammunition, and who pressurized Pakistan authorities to release him? We will also discuss countrywide load shedding and World Health Organization statement Pakistan as a polio virus carrier. Is travel restrictions threat to ensure compulsory vaccination of all Pakistan a bioweapon program? Why was the government unaware and silent on responding to the key questions in the World Health Organization? We will try to find the answers of all these questions in our show today. As you know, today Mr. Zaid joins me. Assalamu alaikum, Mr. Zaid Hamid. Mr. Zaid Hamid, this week, as you saw, today, we all witnessed the protest done by Imran Khan and Dr. Tahirul Qadri. One was demanding that the elections that held last year in the same month were rigged. The other demanded the true democracy to be prevailed in this country. How did the day today that we have seen all these protests, what change should be expected after this?
You see, whatever is happening in Pakistan today is was expected. Even before these elections, we knew this very well. The elections would be rigged, they would be orchestrated, mandate would be stolen, and the government would be weak. There would not be a strong federal government, and the government would not be able to control challenges, confront the challenges that face the country today, from law and order to the economic to bringing the federation together and managing the information of war. And as a result, the last 1 year has been a nightmare for the Pakistani nation. Our chief government has been an absolute failure in all aspects, in terms of providing security to the nation, in controlling the insurgencies, in containing violence in Balochistan, or managing the urban war in Karachi, or bringing the economy to its feet, or controlling even the most basic activities of power, supplying energy and power and electricity to homes and gas. So it was very much expected that Nawab Sharif government would not last long, and it was only a question of political opposition getting together, forming a united front, building a pressure against the political government.
But Mr. Zaid Hamid, after 1 year, these kind of protests, will they make any difference? Dr. Tahirul Qadri said that today would be the first starting a revolution in Pakistan. What kind of revolution is he talking about?
You see, the fact that every political party is angry and frustrated. They know circumstances when a corrupt, incompetent, weak, dictatorial prime minister in power who is not going along with anyone. Nawaz Sharif government is not going provincial governments. Either it is the Khyber government, or it is the Sindh government, or the Balochistan government, which actually behaves like a prime minister of the province of Punjab only. And when he is already at war with his own army, he is actually surrendering his national integrity against the foreign and international organizations.
You mentioned that Nawab is not getting along with any of the political parties, but we did see him going and visiting Imran Khan at his Rabbani Gala, and then we did see him going to Karachi and meeting Zardari. So don't you think he is teaming up with political parties?
You see, he met Zardari to larger front against the armed forces. That's not how you run a government. When you are the leader of the country, you do not make alliances against your own army. That's why he went to Karachi. And he went to Imran Khan to stop him, to try to stop him for waging these protests which have now been launched. The fact of the matter is that Nawaz Sharif has failed on all axes. He believes that he can rule this country through the help of the Americans and through the help of a media group, Geo. And he is at war with his own army, with his own ISI, with his own political and provincial governments. And this was expected. It has come too late, but expected. The protest now, especially in summers, when the national temperature is up, and because there are 18-hour-long load shedding and power outages in the rest of the country, they are already on the streets. And the political parties felt that the timing is right. They can bring people up streets because people are frustrated, are angry, inflation is touching sky high, the government, the law and order crisis is there, water, power, electricity, energy, gas issues.
But the government did say that they will be adding up another 1,000 megawatt as of today to the hydro sources into the national grid.
Statement is fine, but the fact is they don't have the money for it. Pakistan State Oil, the Pakistan's largest organization which imports, or the state organization which imports oil and distributes it to the country, especially to the powerhouses, is almost on the verge of default. The circular debt which the government paid off only by printing banknotes just a year ago are now almost back to $3 to $4 billion.
But then, Mr. Zaid Hamid, Imran Khan and Tahir al-Qadri bring change in the current scenario. How will they fix things? Will their protest fix everything overnight?
I'll be very honest with you. They can bring them down, but they cannot form a new government unless the army intervenes. And this is what we are seeing. The anarchy which is already in the country, the government would have collapsed anyway under its own weight in the next 6 months. All what will happen now is, once these latest rounds of protest will begin, is probably the collapse will speed up. It might collapse in weeks instead of 8 to 9 months or a year perhaps. But the fact is that the political parties which are protesting do not have the capacity to form national governments without the help of the army. This is where, if the chaos and the anarchy gets too out of control, army will be forced to intervene, to bring about, whether army decides to hold another round of elections, or army decides patriotic, technocratic, caretaker government to stabilize the country for some time. That's an issue to be discussed later.
So what you're saying is that these protests by Imran Khan and Tahir al-Qadri alone won't be unless and until they shake hands with army, and together then a technocratic government could be the resolution of problems.
You see, what basically protesting on the streets is the democratic political government, is these political parties. Once you have accepted democracy, you have to accept their right for protests and demonstrations as well. But what we are saying is that already there's so much chaos and anarchy, the government is so confused, as we said, at war with his own institutions and collapsing on all fours. These protests will only accelerate its demise. It will increase, it could increase the anarchy to a certain red line, after which army would be forced to intervene. Last time when Dr. Tahir al-Qadri had besieged Islamabad
for 5 days.
For 5 days, the fact that the government did not exist at that time because the whole Islamabad was under siege. And if at the time a clash had taken place between the protesters and the police, and the protesters had stormed the parliament, then the government would have collapsed right there and then. And the army was on the wings, waiting. It was touch and go. Army could have moved in 20 minutes notice. So this time also, when the take place in Islamabad, army will be on red alert. And if there is a clash, if the protesters march towards the Parliament House or the President House, or they try to take over, or they get out of control, or fires at them, and there are some casualties, army will move in.
From army. Mr. Zaid Hamid, Imran Khan said that all the people who were involved in the mandate of public, they should have the Article 6 implemented on them, and he mentioned it very specifically. Let's see what he has to say on this, and then I would like to have your comment on that.
Legal Supreme Court में गए, Election Commission में गए, Election Tribunals में गए, Election ने कहा 4 महीने में आपको रिजल्ट दे देंगे. पूरी इंतजार की, यानी कोई आज हमें ये नहीं कहा कि हमने जल्दी की, हमने जमहूरियत को नुकसान पहुंचाया, हमने सारे लीगल तरीके तैयार देखे. लेकिन जिस तरह के आज हालात देख रहे हैं, इस तरह तो 5 साल में मसले हल के जो ट्राइब्यूनल्स में केसेस ये हल होने ही नहीं है. तो हम इंसाफ के लिए कर रहे हैं, इलेक्शन के लिए. मायूस चीफ जस्टिस इफ्तिकार से था, हूँ सब के खिलाफ इस्तेमाल किए. 9 महीने से स्टे ऑर्डर मिला हुआ है, ट्राइब्यूनल ने 4 महीने में साइड करना है. जमहूरियत को सबसे बड़ा खतरा धांधली से है. अगर इलेक्शंस में धांधली है तो जो वोटर है वो समझता है कि मेरी वोट से तो कोई चेंज आ नहीं, तो वो वोट पाता. जमहूरियत खतरे में आती है धांधली से, जबकि लोगों के नुमाइंदे मुंतखब होकर ना आए, बल्कि धांधली करके आए, लोगों के मसले ना हल कर सके. जैसे आज शेडिंग, महंगाई, बेरोजगारी, से कोई मसला हल नहीं हो रहा. पुरअमन एहतजाज जमहूरियत का हिस्सा. इसको जो रोकने की कोशिश करेगा वो जमहूरियत को नुकसान पहुंचाएगा। हम आपको नहीं करना चाहते, लेकिन आज मैं कह रहा हूं कि जो ये मैसेज आ रहा है कि हमारा जमहूरी हक रोकने के लिए इनकी फिर हुकूमत खतरे में होगी, इसलिए ये डर है 4 हल्के खोलने से। क्या इसलिए अभी तक मेरे ऊपर स्टे ऑर्डर लिया साहब ने कि उनको खौफ है कि पता नहीं क्या हो जाएगा? हम डिमांड करते हैं कि पूरी इन्वेस्टिगेशन और इंशाल्लाह हमको देंगे।
Yes, Mr. Zaid Hamid, as you saw, Imran Khan, his main agenda is to go and get cleared up all this rigging that he claims happened in 2013 May election. Now, he says that in the constituency of 118, 90,000 votes are missing. His own constituency, where there should be 6 bags, there were 7 bags that have been counted votes. So why isn't judiciary or the election commission paying attention on his allegations and going and proceeding the proceedings?
See, this is where the unfortunate part is. They say injustice becomes the law, rebellion becomes a duty. So this is perhaps now what the parties are doing, because Pakistan's judiciary has failed the nation, especially Ehtajaj Chaudhry, the previous chief. And I will totally agree with Imran Khan if charges of treason are brought against the former chief, because he blatantly rigged the elections, he blatantly sided with the terrorists, but he waged a war against the armed forces itself.
Chaudhry Iftikhar has something to say in response to this allegations. We would like to hear to that also, and then we would get your comment.
नहीं हूँ और चीफ जस्टिस का कोई भी नहीं होता, ये तो इलेक्शन कमीशन अपॉइंट करते हैं ROs को, क्योंकि हम सिर्फ उनकी डिस्ट्रिक्ट जजेस को दे देते हैं, वो भी चीफ जस्टिस सूबों के देते हैं। ये इल्जामात की ऐसी कोई जरूरत नहीं, वो क्योंकि बेबुनियाद हैं।
Yes, Mr. Zaid Hamid, as you listen to Chaudhry Iftikhar saying that Chief Justice has nothing to do with elections, all these ROs are being appointed by the Election Commission, and they're being referred to from the Chief Justices of the provinces, not by the Chief Justice.
He is the Chief Justice. Pakistani elections were conducted under the judiciary. Chief Justice was the supreme commander of all the judges and the returning officers who conducted the elections in Pakistan. And this Chief Justice has the notorious reputation of being one of the most corrupt judges, with the fierce allegations of corruption against him and his son. And he has not come up with the replies, he has not come up with satisfactory answers for unearned wealth that his son claims to have. And he has the most reputation of taking suo motu notices on the pettiest of matters in the country. And when it comes to protecting the national interest, he has always been avoiding to hear petitions with Pakistan. So his character is highly tainted. I personally took 2 petitions against him, one on insurgency and one on the role of the media. But he refused to listen those petitions despite that done to the country. So if there are any cases being brought against him for rigging, for accumulating unaccounted wealth, for destroying the country at a time, he had the responsibility of protecting it judicially and siding with the terrorists and waging a war against. I think lots of treason cases can be registered against him, should be registered if Imran Khan decides we'll fully support him.
Sure, Mr. Zaid Hamid, we will have to take a break here. But again, the same question here that according to Ehtajaj Chaudhry, he's saying that Chief Justice has nothing to do with the elections and that he did not recommend those ROs to election commission.
It's like saying the army chief has nothing to do with the units that are fighting, and whatever the units do, they're their responsibility and you cannot hold the army chief responsible. Then why are you holding Musharraf responsible for Akbar Bukti's murder and the Lal Masjid operation and the Benazir? Because then you make Musharraf responsible, an army chief and a president of the country, holding him responsible and ignoring establishment and the law enforcement machinery below him, saying they are not responsible, president is responsible for murder of Bukti or Benazir or Lal Masjid operation. Why not the same logic be applied against?
All right. Mr. Zaid Hamid, we have to take a break here. We will stay with us. We'll be right back after a short break. We saw today that PTI and PAT kept the federal capital hostage, who is the director and producer of this protest. Imran Khan also demanded that action be taken under Articles of the Constitution against all those who stole the public mandate. Mr. Zaid Hamid, before we saw the response of Imran Khan. Now we would like to see the response of Saad Rafiq and Rana Sanaullah, response of Imran Khan, and then we would like to get your comment. Let's have a look at that first.
आप उस हिस्सा हैं जिस पार्लियामेंट को आप कह रहे हैं कि वो धांधली की पैदावार है और आप उसका हिस्सा भी हैं, आपका काम दुरुस्त है। भाई अदलिया मटेरियल पे फैसले करती है, अदलिया तकरीरों पे फैसले नहीं करती, वहाँ सबूत फराहम करने पड़ते हैं। आपके पास कहने के लिए कुछ नहीं है। आपको कुछ आता, आप कहते हैं धांधली हो गई है। खान साहब, आपको पता है आपका नाम मैं क्या अर्ज करूं, लोग अपने नाम से आपको याद करने लगे हैं। तारुक कादरी साहब बताएं वो क्या चाहते हैं, उनके पास कौन सा मुतबादल खुद मुल्क में मौजूद नहीं है, कैनेडियन शहरी हैं और कनाडा में बैठ के पाकिस्तान के अंदर खड़ा करना चाहते हैं। इमरान खान साहब जो हैं वो शेख रशीद जैसे लोगों के निर्गे में मुझे लगते हैं। अगर वो शाह महमूद कुरैशी साहब और जावेद हाशमी साहब की बात सुनेंगे तो वो फायदे में रहेंगे, और शेख रशीद जैसे पिटे हुए कारतूसों को वो अपने साथ रखेंगे तो फिर खुद भी पिट जाएंगे।
और दूसरा जो है वो बहुत बड़ा पागल है। ताहिरुल कादरी साहब जो हैं वो तो उनकी एजेंडे पे भी गामजन हो सकते हैं और इंतहाई मक्कार किस्म की पर्सनैलिटी हैं। इमरान खान साहब के मुतल्लिक मैं अब भी समझता हूँ वह बेवतन है, लेकिन अक्ल व फिक्र से आ रही है।
कितने हल्के हैं कि जो खुद उनकी रिगिंग की बुनियाद पर कोर्ट ने ख़त्म कर दिए हैं, वहाँ तो कुछ नहीं की जा रही। आए फिर बात करें, पूरे मुल्क में रिगिंग के हवाले से बात करें, ये क्या कि एक दो बात करें और इस तरीके से एक जवाब पैदा करें, तो ये मुझे एजेंडे।
Yes, Mr. Zaid Hamid, you heard the response of government. Saad Rafiq is saying that Imran is a part of the parliament himself. And then why is he out there protesting in streets? And then he said he's not a Pakistani national, in fact, Canadian national. What does he have to do with Pakistan?
The logic could be applied on Altaf Hussain also, the MQM's leader. He's a British citizen. What has he got to do with Pakistan? They're allied with him, but the Nawaz Sharif government is allied with him. And the entire province of Sindh and Karaban war is being waged by a British citizen sitting in London. The fact is that the has decided to take a very harsh line against the protesters, against Imran Khan and Dr. Qadri, and even PMLQ is now in the wings, and the people who are coming out on the streets for them. And they said that the government has collapsed, the government has failed to respond to the genuine needs of people. And the people want governance, people want electricity, people want law to be secured, the life and property and honor. And that the government has not been able to do. The government has been waging a war against the armed forces itself. In this environment, the opposition political parties feel that they have a chance to improve government and perhaps even to bring it down. And this clash will take place. This is not going to die. As I said, the government itself is capable enough to commit suicide. They're doing it already. It will only accelerate the process. The army will intervene in the end if the red line is crossed, bring stability in the country. Then it's the army's call whether they decide to bring elections, fresh elections, or create a caretaker technocratic government which should stabilize the country for some time. I think that we have to see in future. Mr.
Zaid Hamid, there is another development that's been brewing, and that the battle against the hostile media we all have been observing, and you must have seen a recent development in that. How do you see that now that the case has been filed in Supreme Court and we saw Sheikh Akram taking side of Geo and protecting Geo? How do you see this?
You see, the whole country is now hooked to this battle which is going on between the media house and the Pakistan army. A private media house, a non-government organization, has been challenging the writ of the state and the government, violating the constitution, supporting the enemy agenda, hostile information war against the very state itself for the last 10 years. And checked. The multiple governments did not have the capacity or the power or the will to control unchecked subversion of the Pakistani state through the information war.
But
now,
Mr. Zaid filed a case as well. What is that case and petition for?
I'm coming to that. Years ago, I had personally filed a case in the Supreme Court, again in the court of Ehtajaj Chaudhry, the most vicious, most corrupt, most incompetent judge of Pakistani Supreme Court. I had filed in his court saying that there's a segment of the media which is waging a war against the very state of Pakistan. And I had named a media group called SAFMA, South Asia Free Media Association, which is basically a union of journalists, who are known to be funded and supported from hostile sources.
Would you mention the names of those journalists as well in SAFMA?
The whole petition that I filed in the court against them was against SAFMA and included the names of the South Asia Free Media Association, Imtiaz Alam, who's the head of the SAFMA, Sarmad Manzoor, Najib Bina Sarwar, Nusrat Javed, Khalid Ahmed, Marvi Sarmad, Ali Chishti, Hamid Mir, Hassan Nisar Jahangir. Now all these people are either the members of SAFMA or various media houses who have a history of waging a war against the state of Pakistan. And I want the Supreme Court to decide whether my point of view is correct or not. And we had given hundreds of pages against these people. Ehtajaj Chaudhry refused to listen. And the war against the state, hostile media and SEFMA kept on going on till the time that finally, a month back, Pakistan Army decided to step in when Jio crossed the red line and made a vehement attack on the ISI and the armed forces. So Pakistan Army has sent a reference through Ministry of Defense to PEMRA, the Media Regulatory Authority. My petition is 3 years old. It has nothing to do with the latest incident. But if that petition had been 3 years ago, the present confrontation between the media and army had not taken place. But now, our petition has been admitted into the Supreme Court also. So while we're fighting in the Supreme Court, army will be fighting independently against the Jio group in PEMRA. And that decision is also due.
But Mr. Zaid Hamid, do you think that a fight through PEMRA would be a justifying and an equal level fight? Don't you think that a headless and spineless organization?
No, not at all.
And then the establishment of this 3-member under Pervez Rathore by government will further have more implementation of orders on it? You
see, what is happening is that PEMRA is being headed by the Information Minister and Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif himself. They are heavily influencing PEMRA right now. And as we had said, when this latest incident of Jio waging a war against the place, the Prime Minister and the Information Minister made it very clear that they are standing with the Jio, with the army. The Prime Minister is actually standing against his own army. And army is furious at this. ISI is angry at this. But they have followed, for the first time, army and ISI have followed a legal process of sending a reference to one government organ is sending a reference to the Media Regulatory Authority. Prime Minister should have listened to his own army, to his own ISI, his own ministry, and banned Jio instantly. Instead, he decided to stand with the Jio. And this battle is making army more angry. So, and if you add all this up, if ministers on the ground who are actually waging a war against the government, army is angry with the government, government a war against the army. So now it's a choice for Nawaz Sharif. He wants to stabilize his government with the help of the army or through the help of Jio Media Group. That's Nawaz Sharif's choice. If a coup takes place in the country, if the law and order has to be contained, that's done by the army, not by the media group. Nawaz Sharif should be sensible here. He should not make his army more angry. He should not be a hostile enemy of the state. The way army has written about the media group, they are an enemy of the state, they are waging war against the state. Anybody standing with them will be seen as an enemy of the state. So in that case, Nawaz Sharif should behave wisely.
In Jio's answer to PEMRA, before the judge said that Hamid Mir did talk shows on ISI, and now Defense Ministry is using this incident to settle down its scores with Hamid Mir. Has Jio not learned any lessons from all that happened?
They are really being very arrogant. Jio has been really being arrogant. It's stupid actually to say that. Because I had filed a petition against them 3 years ago. Against Hamid Mir and Najam Sethi. The same people against whom army has sent her now, officially. The fact is, it's not just one incident which has provoked the army. It was the last straw which broke the camel's back. There's a history of it. Hundreds of years where they have been vehemently attacking the army, the ISI, the integrity of the state, the ideological, geographic front, supporting the Indian agenda of destroying Pakistan from within through a hostile information war. This was doing. Hamid Mir, Najam Sethi and the SEFMA members have been doing. So now, basically, the Pakistani history, media has never been held to account. There have been cases against them, but every time through political pressures or through cases have been dissipated. But this time, we seriously hope that Supreme Court and PEMRA would push these cases to conclusion. Otherwise, as we said, army is angry, the whole nation has come out and stood with the armed forces against Jio. Anybody who tries to defend you will have to defend himself later. Then.
But Jio, in his answer, it said that Defense Ministry and PEMRA has taken against them. So do you think that
you see, the fact is,
we will see a reasonable conclusion out of all
the fact is, this is a blatant lie first. The government and the judiciary of Ehtajaj Chaudhry had teamed up to support in the previous era, in the era of Zardari. Zardari had been supporting Jio, the Chief Justice Ehtajaj Chaudhry had Jio, and that's why Jio kept waging the war against the state, and no petition against Jio was ever heard by the. So now, the judiciary is not interfering. Judiciary is on the side because it's a war between the ministers, and they have sent a reference to the PEMRA. So far, Supreme Court has not been involved into this. And PEMRA is headless. It's actually being controlled by the Information Ministry. And Information Minister is Jio. So Jio's allegation is complete rubbish. The Prime Minister and the Information Minister who are controlling PEMRA are standing with Jio.
Then how will we see a justifying decision on behalf of PEMRA. Then Geo is saying that if any institution's reputation's been affected, then they should courts, not PEMRA.
You see, this is what we are saying.
So will Defense Ministry
All
now approach
licenses in Pakistan to the media houses are given by PEMRA, the Media Regulatory Authority, it's an authority. And PEMRA has all the authority to block any channel, issue a license, everything by PEMRA, not by the courts. If you do not like the judgment or decision of PEMRA, then you can go against PEMRA. But it is within the PEMRA's mandate and power to decide which is violating the rules decided, which every channel has signed, sealed and stamped. They have to follow it, and if they don't, and it is a known fact, there are multiple petitions against Jio that they are violating PEMRA. There's a petition filed by Sardar Ghazi advocate, there's a petition filed by Ahmad Raza Qusuri, there's a petition filed by multiple people, but PEMRA never takes action against Jio. And for the first time, I'm saying army has stepped in, and this time PEMRA should behave. Otherwise, the protests which are against them can turn against PEMRA also, and PEMRA officials will be held to account. They must be inside with the nation, not with the traitors.
Mr. Zaid Hamid, last question on this topic, and we'll move on to another important topic regarding polio vaccination and then the travel sanction that's been put on Pakistan by WHO. Geo replied to PEMRA says the Defense Ministry hasn't provided enough evidences yet, so Geo cannot reply back. So is Geo right or Ministry right in claiming the evidence?
The fact of the matter is the Defense Ministry has moved on one incident. The last straw which broke the camel's back was the transmission done for 8 hours continuously, in which DGISI was presented as a criminal, terrorist and a murderer. And the Ministry of Information did not intervene, PEMRA did not intervene, Geo's management did not, and they kept on insulting the ISI, the DGISI and the armed forces, and even demanded his resignation. This incident has taken place. And this incident the world has seen. This incident every patriot and patriot has condemned. And this is the incident that army has used as a reference to WHO should be blocked and chained. The fact is, an army has written, if more evidence is required, evidence can be given. But Geo must respond to this particular allegation that they leveled against the DGISI. This particular set of transmission that they did for 8 hours insulted the armed forces against the rules of PEMRA, against Pakistan's constitution, waging a war against the state of... This is enough to get, if a person commits 100 murders, you don't have to prove all 100 of them. If one murder, he can be hanged for it, and Geo will be hanged for this last transmission they did.
We will take a break here. Viewers, stay with us. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back, viewers. We are going to discuss about the World Health Organization sanctions on Pakistan for the international travel. Is this polio fiasco and Russia's threat to ensure compulsory vaccination of all Pakistanis a bioweapon program? Why was the government caught unaware and silent on responding to some key questions in the World Health Organization? Why India is making the vaccine? How true is this that India is making the vaccine that would be given to the Pakistani children? We will talk on this. Mr. Zaid Hamid, before this issue, we have got a report on this polio vaccination campaign by WHO. Let's have a look at that first, and then we will get back to it.
Pakistan's struggle against over the World Health Organization WHO decided to impose strict travel restrictions on Pakistan. The decision was taken on the recommendations of Emergency Committee of WHO says that last year 60% polio cases were a result of the international spread of the wild polio virus. There was evidence that travelers contributed to this spread. The restriction had been imposed on Syria and Iran along with Pakistan. The spread of polio in Pakistan has been a big worry for the past few years. In Pakistan, 198 cases of polio in 2011, 58 in 2012, 93 in 2013, and 56 in 2013 have been recorded. The Federal Health Ministry announced that it was setting up mandatory polio immunization points at all international airports in the country in response to WHO's recommendations.
Most people don't know this, but true. Polio vaccinations cause polio and cancer. There's a myth the polio vaccine has virtually eliminated the wild polio virus in large portions of the world. Health officials are declaring a victory on polio. Okay, so here's all people declaring a victory on polio. They have called a global meeting in Switzerland on the growing problem of vaccine-caused polio. You see, polio vaccine is the largest cause of polio in the world, and vaccine-caused polio is on the rise. The oral polio vaccine still used in many third world countries is made from a live polio virus, which carries a risk of causing polio. The virus in the vaccine can also mutate into a deadlier version, igniting new outbreaks. The live polio virus from the vaccine can remain in your throat for 1 to 2 weeks and in your feces for up to 2 months. Not only is the vaccine recipient at risk for developing polio, he or she can potentially spread the disease. It came from the monkey shoe that was used to make the polio vaccine. Repeat studies show that polio vaccine was contaminated with SV.
Yes, Mr. Zaid Hamid, as you know that World Health Organization has put sanctions on Pakistan for the international travel. One must has to have vaccine drops or a certification for vaccination of polio. How do you see this development?
You see, this is one of the most serious threats that Pakistan is facing now. We knew that Americans would be imposing sanctions on Pakistan under one pretext or another. And I personally see that the environment is being built to put sanctions, slap sanctions on Pakistan. Whatever is about this polio campaign is nothing but an eyewash, disinformation, lies and propaganda. The government has been using the cover of secrecy without answering the critical question. What kind of polio campaign they are running in this country? The data is being said, the entire media, at the global level also, it is being said that polio is increasing in Pakistan because vaccination program is being attacked, because vaccination program is hampered. So more aggressive vaccination is needed. But the fact of the matter is that statistics and data are exactly the opposite. I'm giving you one from the New York Times. This is a New York Times article published I assume February 11, 2014. And what this article is saying, alarming, dangerously alarming, and raises multiple questions which must be answered by first, the government must answer, why did they fail to defend Pakistan in WHO? Why? Literally, as they say, with their pants down. Why did? It's like losing of exactly, it's a repeat of the case like we had in Kishan Ganga Dam, where UN decided Pakistan in favor of India, while the Pakistan government did not even know about it, that adverse was coming in the International Court of Arbitration. And now in the
WHO says that last 2% polio cases were a result of the international spread of the wild polio viruses from Pakistan. So how do you see it? You see,
this is what I'm coming to it now. This is the New York report, which is saying a rare Afghan polio case tied to Pakistan. So they're putting an allegation that Pakistan is spreading the polio virus. But in the same article, they are saying the child who has been infected by the polio was vaccinated many times in Pakistan. This is something that you must answer.
So what you're trying to say that the vaccination of polio getting used in Pakistan has a problem?
The children who are, there's another report which is saying here, it's written by Daniel Eric, again it's a 2011, which is saying 78% of the Pakistani children with polio were given polio vaccines. This is what they are saying. It is actually the vaccine causing the polio, not the other way around. 78% children are actually infected because of the vaccine. And this is something where the government must answer, because polio vaccine that is being given is, where is it made? Nobody knows in the country. Why the government secret? Where are they importing this vaccine from? It is said, I'm not putting an allegation, it is said in India and being imported by powerful politicians from Pakistan's political party. They're importing cheap vaccine from India and selling it to the health ministry at exorbitant profits.
Do you have names of those politicians?
I have seen the discussion on the social media saying it needs to be verified, it needs to be proved that Jahangir Tareen of PTI, he has local companies and they are importing. This may not be true.
Importing from?
From India. And this may not be true, I'm saying, but this must be verified. Pakistani nation has a right to know where is this vaccine coming from. And it's an oral vaccine, which means it has live virus in it. An oral vaccine needs a certain temperature, must be contained, maintained, because if the temperature rises, the virus becomes powerful. And with 18-hour load shedding, no vaccine can be maintained properly, especially especially in the government hospitals where this health program is going on. And then the doses. What dose should be given to the children? Because they are giving multiple doses every few weeks. See a polio team coming and giving doses to children under 12 years of age or 14 years of age. Every child is being vaccinated, while there are specific doses where it can only be followed. Suffering from a vaccine overdose, which is causing polio in the children. And even in America, there are statistics. They accept this fact that when millions of children are given oral polio, some of the children may not have the immunity to fight against the live virus and may get polio virus. And here is an example I would like to quote. It's when the SF Gate article in America, when polio vaccine backfired, tainted batches and paralyzed 164 children. It's a historical case which is called the Qatar incident. You can Google this and you can see this, the Qatar incident in America, where polio vaccine to the children, 10 children were killed, 164 were permanently paralyzed, and
vaccine was prepared in the Berkeley labs.
Yes, and vaccine was prepared in the Brooklyn lab. So what we are saying is, there are history, there are records where contaminated vaccine has been causing polio. So what we are saying, polio, why are they putting... I'm a 50-year-old grown-up adult. I was a little child when I took polio vaccine. And everybody around us is the same. But why do we have to be inoculated or given vaccine at the airports? There are more contagious diseases all over the world, like HIV AIDS or hepatitis C, the diseases which India specializes in, or South Africa or African nations, but still there are no restrictions on them. So what we very strongly feel is there is something very fishy in this program, especially when we know the program is heavily penetrated by CIA, especially in the Osama bin Laden case. Even you are saying this. I'm going to quote this from a UN officer who is saying...
But you're not saying that polio should not be treated. Polio vaccine campaign should not be conducted.
What we are saying is the polio workers have died. Because there is anger, there is suspicion, there is fear in the people's minds, because the government is not answering these questions that we have raised. So government responsibility. Unless these questions are answered, I would not like to give polio vaccine to my own children. These questions must be answered. Where is this vaccine made? Who's importing them?
Mr. Zaid Hamid has failed to carry out a single polio vaccination campaign successfully in Farah since 2012. And that's why any vaccination campaign in Peshawar is failing. Because people in Farah are affected and the virus is traveling from Farah to Peshawar. And then from Peshawar to other provinces.
See, again, there is absolutely no evidence. You see, the point is, that's what you are saying. There is so much of disinformation about polio. The government is not talking about the fact that how much polio campaign was penetrated by the CIA. UN is accepting this fact. And let me quote. A UN official is saying, again, New York Times is reporting, the CIA has a lot to answer for in setting back the polio eradication year. The official in Afghanistan said, speaking on condition of anonymity because of the political sensitivity of his views. Times quoting this. Government has to answer how much CIA is controlling the polio program. It's made in India. Who's importing it? Is the low quality vaccine, is the test of vaccine being maintained properly? And what are the doses? Why overdoses are being given? And why it is written in the New York Times that the children contracting polio were given multiple doses? These must be...
Mr. Zaid Hamid, one day after the World Health Organization travel sanctions on Pakistan, Punjab has also imposed compulsory polio vaccination certificate condition for entry from Sindh and KPK into Punjab as well. And then Sindh government is doing the same as well.
This will billion in the country. So much of unrest that governments would not be able to sustain this. This is insane stupidity. Pakistan is one entity. You cannot divide it. You remember Pakistan on the provincial line saying we will not allow people from other provinces to come into our province. And the fact of the matter is, unless, and especially when you're not even answering the critical questions about the polio, the government owes it to the workers who have died. We feel very sorry for the workers who have innocently tried to serve the nation and died because of suspicion and fear of the people. I know cases where people gave polio vaccine to their children and the children contracted virus because the vaccine was contaminated and corrupt. I know of cases where people have said certificates to the polio workers saying that we have given polio vaccine to our children, still given doses under the threat of police and arrest warrants. This is insane. This is insanity.
So there should be an organized manner of conducting this campaign.
This is what we are saying.
The given to a child should be mentioned and noticed so that they should not be repetitive.
In America, even if they give What they don't give oral vaccines anymore, but even if they give oral vaccines in America, they follow doses, one at the birth, one at 2 months, one at 6 months, then 5 years, then 14 years. Everything is documented. They don't give doses every 15 days, every 20 days, to as many times without any record. That's what we are doing in Pakistan. That's insanity. That's medical insanity. People, Pakistani doctors must stand up to this. We know the quality of our labs. We know the quality of our government hospitals and the systems that they have. And we have these reports in front of us also. So this is generating suspicion, and government must answer this, otherwise more polio workers will die.
Mr. Zaid, India recently celebrated the eradication of polio virus and announced in December Pakistanis need polio vaccination certificate 6 weeks before crossing border India.
You see, every country is now insulting Pakistan. The WHO, what they have done is, basically every other country of the world is also demanding Pakistanis to be inoculated, vaccinated, polio. Again, I'm saying, we are going to hold the government responsible for it. This is insane. We will not. This will not be accepted. No, every adult Pakistani at the airport, millions of people traveling, if we travel 10 times to a foreign country, we will not be inoculated and will not be.
According to them, the special measures will include establishing mandatory immunization counters at airports, border crossings and seaports for all international travelers.
You see, government must fight this case for Pakistan. And if they don't, and if they surrender unconditionally, we will against the government. This is not acceptable. The questions that we have raised must be answered. Why children are getting polio after being vaccinated? New York Times. It must be answered. And if the government tries to avoid these questions, as we said, there will be rebellion.
Mr. Zaid Hamid, we are running out of time, but one last question. In the last week, we saw that a U.S. citizen who was the FBI agent as well was caught at the Karachi airport for carrying ammunition with him. How do you see that? And then he was bailed out by the U.S. authorities, and there was a lot of pressure on Karachi police for his release.
You see, we expected this. We expected this because the People's Party government and MQM government in Sindh would not hold the Americans, would not hold their ground. And we knew he would be bailed out, he would be set free, out of the country. And the fact is, if a Pakistan Army officer or an ISI officer was caught with weapons on his person, would he be treated like this, bailed out next week, set out, allowed to go home? No, he'll never be. Why this special treatment to the Americans? And again, the answer for this.
And this said that the FBI agent was in Pakistan because he was giving training to Pakistani police.
Again, we have no evidence because complete lies, baloney, as they say. Raymond Davis, even Barack Obama himself said that Raymond Davis was a diplomat. It was a blatant lie. He was JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, CIA operative, working in Pakistan against Pakistan's interests. He was not a diplomat. He did not have diplomatic immunity. And ultimately, the American government had to give blood money to the people he had killed, and only then he was allowed to go. But in this case, the government of Sindh succumbed, and the government of Nawab Sharif succumbed even more rapidly, and allowed him, who had broken the law of the land, committed a crime without knowing his intention. Why was he carrying ammunition on board a flight? They allowed him bail, which basically means out of the country, it would be closed. Again, a traitor, again a spy has been let go, and we are not happy with that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zaid Hamid. Viewers, as you saw that we touched base the developments that happened this week. The ethics of media is a big question in front of the public. And then the protest, what achievement will be done by conducting these kind of protests? Will we be able to get the true spirit of the country by these protests or not? Only time will tell. That's it for tonight. See you until next. Until then, Allah Hafiz and good night.